Welcome to another episode of Hi Exclusive right here on Hi TV, your luxury channel. Today we are going to come to know more about technology and how far it has come and how Finetech has been contributing towards Sri Lanka and how we can see things in a more digital space. Now, speaking more about it, of course, I have Clehan Pulle, who is also Pvt, I get to know. He is the director and CEO. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Danu.
And how are you keeping?
Good, could be better.
Brilliant. Now, I think I have to ask you, as a company that deals with technology, power cuts are never your friend, yeah?
Yep.
I understand. It's no one's friends, actually. To start things off, why don't you give me a little insight to you? Like, what made you come into this business? And
Okay, started off my career in IT long years ago. Say in 1987 is where I first started off my career. So since 87, been in IT.
But at that particular time when you took IT as your profession, how was it received by people around you?
Well, it was like something magic,
Yes.
something new. And even to get somebody to use a computer, you had to explain why you need a computer, why would you need it, so that was a long process. So it was basically educating people as to why they would need this machine.
Correct.
So that was the era. Today it has completely changed, that people would say, okay, I will go and buy this particular computer or buy this particular thing. Even a school kid today knows technology.
Yeah.
In those days, people didn't know, and also the people who were going to use it were very senior people in organization, and they were much
set
older.
in their ways.
Yes, and then trying to get them to use it was a humbling task.
And so when you took this profession over and now Finetech has been around, how has it been forming this place?
Right. So basically, I've been in the IT industry for a long time, and ambition was that someday we need to set up our own company and make it something that will be known and do something for the industry. So in that context, in 2010, was looking at how do we set up something, and then Sujata, who is the co-partner of the company, we started talking. She was my boss at John Keel's when I started off my career, and we were looking at what should we do. So always this concept was there, is that in Sri Lanka, when you want to start a business, people will look at what is the next man doing and copy that. Like you see a vegetable shop somewhere, next week you'll see a whole heap of vegetable shops. So we came out of that box and we looked at, we must do something different. So being in the IT industry, we had evolved from trying the PCs to the mainframes to the open systems, and it had evolved. So we have been through that entire life cycle we had been. And then that time was the time that cloud was just spoken about. So we thought we'll do something with cloud. And that's how we set up Finetech. And then of course, taking the story as how we got into Google was also another nice story, because
I wanted to come there because your collaboration with Google is very strong, and you'll have worked with them on many levels. Tell me about the collaboration.
Yeah, so that collaboration also was a very interesting thing, because when we wanted to get into cloud, obviously we needed to have partner with some big guys. So the obvious choice was, in Sri Lanka everybody was using Microsoft, and those were the obvious choices, but we saw that Google was a pioneer and that will be the future, and they had a nice story. But at that time Google was not present in Sri Lanka, or they were not in this region, so we approached Google, and obviously Google told us, no, Sri Lanka is too small, we'll get back to you. But we didn't give up.
Yeah.
We went on talking to them, and then we started the company in September 2010, if I'm not wrong. And then by December, we were still in talking to them, and then I think they found that we were a bit of a pain. So they basically told us, okay, we won't work with you directly, but we'll work with you through another partner, and that guy is in South Africa. Would you like? So we said, okay. And we started off the business. But 3 months down the road, Google came back and said, hey, that's enough, we'll take you on board directly. So that was the beginning. And at that time, it was very difficult to sell Google, because everybody was not
true. That was a time when we all believed in Hotmail and Yahoo emails.
That's right.
I know.
So
and it was not a good look on us.
Yeah, so that was the journey, and of course from there, of course, we have gone places. Today we handle almost all Google's enterprise solutions. We handle it, and then recently we've also upgraded to be a regional partner.
That's amazing.
So it was apart from Sri Lanka. Now we are already in Maldives and Bangladesh.
Right.
So that's the expansion, and of course we intend to expand into the other APAC countries.
Now, when it comes to technology, it's still jargon to a lot of people. And now, I'm sure when you spoke about clouds, and people would have been just like, yeah. How was it to explain this and create this? Because in Sri Lanka, we still have a huge gap between technology and people, because it's there, but it's not there. When you go to a company, especially sometimes when they are an old school company or a family run company, it's very hard to penetrate and explain it to them. What are the techniques that you use to sort of simplify it?
Very simple technique is basically you meet the CEO or the owner of the company. And any owner or any business owner of a company, simple thing is he needs to know, how do I increase my profitability? How do I improve my productivity? So if you have the answer to that, and our answer is basically the very simple way is, how do you reduce paper? Today, a piece of A4 sheet is at least 10 rupees. So you want to see the amount of A4 paper that you waste.
Correct.
Then printed paper, say petty cash vouchers, payment vouchers. So you go and print all this. And my question is, how many of this paper that you print it for a particular purpose is used for that purpose? Say you spill a cup of tea, you take the petty cash voucher and clean this one.
Correct.
So that is the story that we started, and we showed them the benefit. And digitization was the main thing, and then Google became very strong on digitization. So we had a nice story to tell them, and I think that's where companies started picking it up. So from a zero to today, we have about 500 plus companies who have embraced the technology.
Brilliant. Well, when I did get these list of questions to my hand, I was looking at him and I was like, zero paper on the other side. But there's still something about touching and having a connection to this sometimes. I have to convince him otherwise. We're getting into a break. We'll come back with more right here on Hi Exclusive. Welcome back to the show. We are speaking about technology. This is Hi Exclusive. I wanted to speak to you. Finetech is working with Google Map. Google Maps is something that we really need. Sometimes, of course, she takes us through some dodgy roads, but you can forgive her for that. How has it been working with Google Maps?
Well, it has been again another challenging this one, because everybody thought things of Google Maps, use it for your everyday use. Thinking about the search engines in the world, Google Maps is basically the second or the third largest search engine in the world, because Google is the largest. Next is YouTube, and then comes Google Maps. So in all our everyday life, I don't think there is anybody who would say I didn't use Google Maps on at least once a day, right? So that's basically the. But when it comes to businesses, Google Maps has become a thing that people will not be able to be without, because you have so much of information there, so much of analytics that you can do with Google Maps. Every possible organization, you take banking, you take trading, manufacturing, everybody is going to use Google Maps. You might wonder, why does a bank need Google Maps? Lots of use cases, like somebody is going, all of the banks have their apps. Now in the apps, if they can have something that if you want to, you're trying to find the closest ATM, and the ATM that is working, the ATM that has less crowd. So those are things that are services that the bank would like to give its customers, and that's where Google Maps come in.
And also, when you do search for something and if it's not on the map, you're like, what is this? It's not even on the map. Yeah.
Because Google Maps is also a community-based thing that community keeps adding. So that's how the Google Maps become so data rich and available. But we have gone a step ahead in that we also can provide organizations of GIS based analytics.
Right.
So it is like, I want to find out in the next 5 kilometer radius how many schools I have, how many police stations I have, what sort of population density, even weather forecast. So those type of things also can be done. So people, when they see what else can you do, Google Maps is not just finding your location, how to get from A to B. It's a far more advanced analytical GIS based.
And also it helps your search engine in terms of
It
results.
gives you a search engine, but the commercial use of it is now becoming an analytical tool. And I think because there's a lot of AI inbuilt into that.
Yeah.
So businesses need this information.
And it has to be guided through somebody who has the knowledge in it, so that your pin or your location is very well informed, so that somebody gets all the information they need.
Information. And also more towards that, that is what what you said is very correct, because lots of people think that it's just a tool that will take you and find a location. But as I said, it's a tool that actually is gone beyond that, and it helps businesses to guide their business. Now say for example a bank, again they want to start up a branch. Using Google Maps, we have solutions where you can decide where do you want to set up your branch, depending on your business, because you can see the population density, you can overlay the population density, you can overlay different types of maps, and then decide, okay, this is where I would like to have my.
Correct.
Then for example, if you start marking your customers on the map, you can see, okay, if there are defaulters, in this particular area we should be careful because there are more defaulters in this area. So those type of analytical information can be now obtained using it for organizations. So that's basically where Google Maps is now going beyond finding your location from A to B.
And also I think people do judge where they're going by the photographs that are available on the map, to sometimes the reviews that have been left back. All of this sort of contribute to just a map that was once used. Now in the last 2 years, I think the word that we all used was Zoom.
Right.
Zoom for everything. It was such a pain. Zoom became everyone's place to go, and it's amazing. Y'all are also working with Zoom.
Zoom, that's right.
Yeah. Now there are so as somebody who is amateur or somebody who just use like a quick phone call, will use Zoom, the basic one. But there's also the paid platform for Zoom, and that is intense.
Yes. So Zoom, Zoom has been a household name, as you said.
Yes.
So because Zoom has a free version which is for 45 minutes and it allows anybody to use it. So that has made Zoom become a popular thing.
Yeah. It was COVID Zoom.
Correct. So that is good for individual people who want to make a occasional call and so on. But when it comes to businesses, there's much more into that. Security, you probably need to keep track of whom you're talking to, where you're talking to, and that sort of information. You might want to have large meetings, you might want to have seminars, the duration. So all those are packed into the paid versions. And we at Finetech, we basically support our customers in terms of technology, technical support. Because when you get the free version, there is no technical support or anything. Here, customers can call us 24/7, get any technical support. We have a full-fledged team to support them. So that's one of the reasons that Zoom also came in when they saw that we were doing such a job with Google. They also thought, why not appoint the same person to take Zoom, and they both work together, because in most of our customers, you also see them using Zoom. Most of the Microsoft customers also keep using Zoom. So it's this one, because people tend to use Google for between their internal organization communication, and for the external part, they tend to use Zoom.
Yeah,
so it's more user friendly, and more than user friendly, it's more worldwide used. So anybody has a Zoom account, so that's where it becomes so popular.
Something that is very important, I think, that we learned was the fact that when Zoom came about, all the schools, everyone expected kids to just get onto Zoom. Sometimes the parents were not informed, they don't have the right data or the material to use or a laptop to use to put them there. What do you think about technology in Sri Lanka, and how far has it reached, and how far can it reach?
Well, I think when it comes to technology in Sri Lanka, we are quite ahead of most places, but I think it has to be more organized. Now, for example, you were talking of when the pandemic came, schools suddenly we need to.
Yeah, I know.
Now, we have done a project for the Maldivian government. It's for the entire Ministry of Education in Maldives. So, we gave them Google, and we basically got all the schools in Maldives using Google for their classrooms. Then we have Google for Education. So we got that. But the next thing that came is how you organize this, because for example, you have a class, the teacher is teaching but the kids are all over the place, or they are on their Instagram or WhatsApp or something like that. So how do you control this? So that became an issue. Now with Google we have all those inbuilt security features where the teacher can basically control, teacher can control the mic, teacher can say who should talk, who should not talk. So it becomes a similar classroom environment. And going beyond that, in this context there may be instances where people might want to a hybrid situation. Part of the students can come to school, part of them might want to be in school, out of school. So how does the teacher manage that? So Google has the tools for that. So that is exactly what we implemented in Maldives, and today the entire government of Maldives manages it, uses it. So that sort of technology is something that Sri Lanka also could look at.
And were you interested in sort of pitching it to the Sri Lankan education?
We are pitching it, and actually right now a couple of initiatives have been taken. So I believe that the use case in Maldives, of course Maldives is a smaller country. It's about student population is about 120,000 students compared to Sri Lanka, but that made it easy to have the
demo done, or the
first project done and make it work and so on. But I think that experience we can definitely share it with
because I feel like Sri Lanka was left back because we looked at the bigger cities, bigger towns, they were all easy to understand, but further sometimes they were just left with a tiny phone and it's not the right format. And I think that's the future. And looking at our country, I think now the world has got used to working from home.
Correct.
So I think it's
COVID, earlier it was difficult to get somebody to say, okay, I'm going to have a virtual meeting. It was a big challenge. But I think COVID made it, so people got used to it.
Correct.
So now it's not a major challenge. But having said that, I think from a point of organizing this together, we need to come to something that the government should look at, how we organize this together and make it a streamless platform so that every student has access to it at a very affordable price and that sort of a thing.
And sometimes it's great when the government and private sectors get involved. It becomes a more bigger project and a more successful one. We're getting into a break. We'll see you on the other side. To stick around. Welcome to Hi Exclusive. We are in conversation with Clehan. Just wanted to speak to you, especially now with dollar rate issues. Payments online is really hard. You could have downloaded all the apps and all the software and you are like stuck with it not being able to be used. How have you all battled through that?
Well, a good question. I think in all difficult situations, I think there is a silver line. So we saw the opportunity, and I think, as I told you, Google also saw the opportunity and basically enhanced our license to handle the entire APAC. So what we have seen is, with the knowledge that we have built, the knowledge base we have built, the skills that we have built, we are moving into other markets and looking at how we could help the economy by bringing in dollars to the country. So Bangladesh is one good example where we have extended Finetech into Bangladesh. We have started operations and we are now bringing in new customers, increasing customers in that area. Maldives is another aspect of it. So I think that was something that before this crisis came in, we would have not thought about it, because we were quite happy. Sri Lanka is doing well, Google is selling, people are buying it, they are going. So we would have been, would have been very happy and comfortable with that.
Bubble,
But with the crisis, what we saw is, okay, do we grumble about it, or do we see what should we do? And then we obviously saw that expansion was the way forward, and we have done that. And we don't see a major challenge in that, because dollars will also come in, is coming in, and at the same time we are able to service our Sri Lankan customers, at the same time expand.
Okay. Now, as a CEO and somebody who is now working with the what do you call it, the millennials and the Z generation, I don't know how many generations are there at this very moment. I tend to believe I'm the latest one. But keeping up the trends, keeping up the brand, and at the same time being informed about the changes in terms of technology is a hard task, and especially when you're taking the ship forward. How do you do it?
Well, today it has become easy. Unlike in the olden days, you don't have to run through books. Google is there. So you need anything, Google is there. But you need to be updated, because the technology that I knew when I started in 1987, today if I stick to that and I say I know that, I don't think anybody will employ me as a pioneer. So that's the challenge that you have. But I think IT, being in IT, that challenge is something that once you get used to it, you keep it. And today it has been made so easy that anything you want, you just Google it and the information is there. And I think even the younger generations, because we are dealing with very young people, to keep abreast with them, because they know more than you, right? Those are the days that when we started, we knew everything, nobody else knew anything. So even if you told something, they would have accepted it as true. But
no,
today,
this is the correct software for it. Okay.
So anything that you want, like I always use it in my presentations. In the olden days, we used to say, if you don't know something, God only knows. Today you say Google knows, only knows. So that's the power of Google. And also lots of AI has been built into it. Like as you see, while you're typing, the rest of it Google
just
will
type by
itself. So it understands your thinking pattern. Even on Google Mail, now you see that when you start typing a mail, moment I say hi, it will know what the rest of it, and it will say when I start, it studies my writing pattern and it will basically give it. So that's where we are moving to. Then if you take Google languages, today you can, if I want to type a letter in Sinhala, now I studied in Sinhala but I can't, I've lost touch of writing Sinhala, but today I can speak in Sinhalese and it will perfectly give it. You can speak in Tamil and in Tamil different accents, the Indian accent, the Singaporean accent, the Jaffna accent, so those type of things are inbuilt into it. So that's making it so easy, so that you don't need to bother about, can I type or whatever it is.
Yeah, the days are gone when you are supposed to be a writer. You just need to be somebody who can speak to a phone now. And it really solves, I'm telling you, it really saves if you see my spellings, you'll thank Google every day. It's quite a scary. Sometimes I don't even know what I've written. So that's how bad it is. Wanted to ask you, in terms of the youth in our country, IT is definitely a profession that a lot of people are looking into, but at the same time, it's also a bit of a brain drain. They tend to leave because opportunities are bigger in other countries. What would you tell them, and how can we sort of keep the talent?
I would say is to keep the talent here, and for the advice that I would give the young generation is, you can now, the world has opened up so much that you can stay here and you can service so many places and earn much more than what you would earn by going into these countries, because world over the economy is also, the prices has all increased.
Correct.
Even if you take fuel, we say it's at 500 rupees here, but in most places, if you take the rupee equivalent, it's like 800, 900 rupees a litre. So it has, the cost of living has gone over worldwide. So even if you go to those countries and you earn that, you will have to spend that amount. But being here and having the right technologies, and today with this, I would say, a open world where your communication is there, you have so much of tools to communicate, you can stay here and earn much more than what you would earn going out. So that's one. Number two is to the youth, what I would say is, you have to be innovative. And we have lots of young guys who are very innovative, and we need to exploit that. So that is something. But I think investing and having more universities coming out with more practical oriented IT staff, more certified people, will also help the country in terms of the economic side, because you will be bringing in more dollars. And so that's something that, and that's high earning. It's not like sending labor to housemaids to the Middle East. This is high earning. So I think we should invest more and open up more universities, more practical oriented programs to create more graduates, and that will also help in a big way, help the economy.
Correct. Now, I just wanted to ask you, for those who are keen and curious about Finetech and they want to work with you, how can they get in touch? What's the way of?
Well, we are also looking at, because of our expansion plans in the region, we are looking at talent. So they can always go to our website, www.fcpl.biz, and the contacts are there. Just drop in a CV to jobs@fcpl.biz, and we'll be more than happy to talk to people, because we are looking at people, and I think it's going to be a never-ending thing that sometimes I wonder, my God, I'm doing interviews. Why am I doing this? Because most of the time you spend doing interviews, because you need more people. So this is a business that is all depending on people. It's a people's business. You need people, and you need good people. And with expansion, we continuously need people.
Brilliant. So if you want a solution that is going to be world class for your company, even if you're a private entity that is, or like an individual person who is doing your own business or trying to optimize whatever you're selling, I think sometimes you just need to have a little bit of guidance to get you on the right track. And I think Finetech is definitely the place. It's a fine place to be, I think. But I must say, I think you have given me an insight to more things than I didn't know about. But of course, it's interesting how much you can do when you have the right people guiding you through the right systems. So do reach out to Finetech. Thank you so very much for joining me today for a chat on all this and more, and I wish you only the best, and thank you for what you have done and made Google a part of our lives. I'm sure in your life you would have called Google way more than you would have called anyone in your family.
Probably, yes. Yeah, and visited Google offices worldwide.
You have cheated on your life with Google. All right. Well, on that note, we need to wrap things up. Thank you for joining us on Hi Exclusive. We will see you soon.